Pharrell, where's he gone? Where's he gone? Where's the birthday boy? Wilson! It's Wilson's birthday today. 2 years old. Unfortunately, he's just found another little puppy to play with and run off round the corner. Where is he, Pharrell? Come here. Where is he? Where's your brother? Pharrell. Here he comes. Ah dear, 2 years old. Can't believe Wilson's 2 already. He's having a lot of fun on this walk with loads of other dogs. Anyway, as you can imagine, my wife has gone crazy mad celebrating his birthday with doggy birthday cakes and scrambled eggs for breakfast, and I mean, ridiculous. I don't get even this much fuss for my birthday. But anyway, out for an early morning walk with him, having just dropped the kids at school. Then I've got, well, quite a bit on at home today, whilst keeping an eye on what's happening in Russia at the Grand Prix. And then tonight is date night for me and Mrs P and I. But as well as being Wilson's birthday today, it's Thursday, and Thursday for me, well, I'm not at the Russian Grand Prix, as you can clearly tell, because I'm in my garden. And today, what it does is gives me more time to work on the tree house. Remember the tree house? I was hoping to get it done this summer, which it didn't quite happen, but I do want to finish it. I don't want it to just sit there and be an abandoned project. So that's what my Thursday is going to consist of. The tools are back out, and I will be working on the tree house for much of today. If you're a Formula One mechanic and it's a Thursday, things are very different, particularly if it's Grand Prix weekend. Because of course you're at the track, you have had probably Wednesday as well, where you've been there as well. You turned up early to kind of get the garage ready, get everything unpacked, just start the preparation on the car. The car will typically travel without an engine in, so there's a lot of work to do before the sessions start and the car turns a wheel on a Friday. And Thursdays, by the time you get to a Thursday, that's the first official day of the Grand Prix weekend. It's the first official event day, and that means the car then has to be presented to the scrutineers in a fashion that is suitable for them to that was my GoPro just falling out the tree into the field below. So Thursdays, the mechanics have got to present the cars in the condition for the scrutineers to have a look over them. The scrutineers will come around. They don't need to take them anywhere. The scrutineers will come to the garages. They'll come up, they'll look over the car, they'll have a big checklist with them, an FIA checklist, which they'll start to work through. And the mechanics are there to assist that process, to show them anything they need to show them, explain anything that they need to explain, that they need explaining if they're not sure about what something is. They'll present things like the headrest, because the scrutineers will check that the correct headrest material is in the headrest. They'll check the operation of things like the fire extinguisher, and there's a test procedure that the mechanics will generally run through to show that the system can be armed and disarmed okay. They'll have to remove things like the seat to show that the fire extinguisher is full and pressurised. Show the red light working on the back of the car, the little flashing red light, the rain light. So the mechanics will power the car up, switch it into wet mode, which should illuminate the light on the back. And a whole series of little checks like that. Lots and lots of little things to tick on this scrutineers list. And the mechanics will be fully into that process. There will almost certainly be pit stop practice in the pit lane on Thursday as well. So one of the cars, and typically they'll alternate from race to race as to which one of those cars, and therefore which one of those car crews, will have to prepare a car for pit stop practice that particular week. And you might think that, well, that's just a case of pushing it into the pit lane, but quite often they will fit dummy brakes, perhaps some dummy brake ducts or brake duct protectors. There'll be various maybe floor protectors a different set of tyres, of course. They'll fit a seat or take the seat out to enable a mechanic or a member of the team to sit in, because the driver, of course, is not normally available on a Thursday to do pit stop practice. And the likelihood is, when you're doing pit stop practice, the reason they alternate back and forward is because quite often it can get your car can get damaged. When you're running through, maybe 50 stops in pit stop practice, banging wheels on and off, you can damage things like brake ducts, you can damage the hubs, the axles, you can just nick things like brake calipers, and all of those kind of things, if they do happen, which they do, need to be repaired. So there's a bit of extra work for the team that has to do the pit stop practice, or the crew within that team. Occasionally you'll get asked to do an extrication practice with the FIA, and the FIA will rotate through the teams up and down the pit lane as to whose turn it is to do that. But if it's your turn, a whole team of marshals and medical delegates will turn up from the FIA and will go through a procedure of extracting a driver from the car. He'll be strapped in. It'll be normally a mechanic or one of their people strapped into the car, and they go through a scenario of turning up at an accident on the circuit and going through the procedures they have to do, lifting the seat out whilst the driver's still strapped in, fitting neck braces, getting him out onto the side of the out of the car and onto the floor to be able to treat him medically. And again, things like that, they're doing that against the clock. Things like that can damage your race car. So again, it's rotated through the different crews in each team, and again, just another thing on a Thursday that can set you back. When you think you're nearly finished, when you think the car is nearly ready to turn a wheel and hit the circuit on Friday morning, you can always get something that damages and just sets you back a little bit. I guess once those things are done, it's about final preparations. It's about making sure that everything is bolted onto the car, everything's fired up, tested, run through the gearbox, all the system checks are done, and then you'll be on to final setup of the car. The engineers will provide the mechanics with a setup sheet, a setup list, which has all the angles of cambers, the weight distributions, the ride heights, wing angles, everything like that, which the mechanics will then systematically work through to make sure the car is in that condition. And they'll do that on a flat patch, which they'll set out, a set of scales which are perfectly balanced and level to make sure the car has got an absolutely level plane from which they can do measurements and checks. And once they've done that, they then have to, the final thing they really have to do on a Thursday is, once the car's fully buttoned up, it's been set up, it's been weighed, so they'll pump all the fuel out and weigh it, give you a dry weight of the car just so they've got a baseline. They'll then put a set of tyres on it and push it down to the FIA flat patch at the end of the pit lane at the FIA scrutineering garage, where they'll push the car onto the official FIA flat plate. It's their weighing scales, it's also their measuring plate, and you can do all the checks and weights you want in your own garage, but unless it checks out on the official scales and the official flat patch, it kind of means nothing, because that's the one that really counts over a race weekend. So you go down there, you'll measure everything again on that particular platform, and if there are any discrepancies between your own scales, for example, and the scales of the FIA, well, you need to then decide as to whether you need to adjust the weights to make sure that you're legal on the FIA flat patch. Perhaps there's a tiny offset. We could be talking about half a kilo, but if there is, you need to account for that offset between your scales and the FIA scales throughout the rest of the weekend. So it's quite a busy day on a Thursday. It's the first day that the curfew as well kicks in, and actually that means that often teams will rather work late on a Wednesday night to make sure they're not getting into curfew territory on a Thursday night. But in theory, Thursday should be straightforward. You should run through your standard routine and get out of there with plenty of time so that you're ready, well slept and well rested ahead of what will definitely be a very busy Friday. Where did that GoPro? There it is. Well, it survived. Ginger, bring it over here. Come here. Check this out. Show us what you got.
Doggy popcorn.
Doggy popcorn. Can you believe it? Happy birthday, Wilson.
Do I give it
Yeah, just give him a handful.
Wilson, come here. Puppies, want some doggy popcorn? Wilson, first the birthday boy. Yeah, you go.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Ready?
Right, made good progress on the tree house today. Got quite a lot done. The roof is almost finished. A couple of the sides are now finished as well. So things are looking good. It's coming on. I'm pleased that we've made some progress. I hope the little mechanic bit was insightful. I hope a little bit of insight into what they do on a Thursday. And I know that you all know that there are plenty of other people. There are so many roles in Formula One, and everybody has different things to do at different times. So perhaps on another video we'll look at other roles in Formula One, or other roles in a Formula One team, or in the media, or whatever, and just talk about what their day might entail, because maybe that'll be interesting. Let me know if that's what you'd like me to talk about on another time. So I hope that was interesting. I hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I think the race potentially could be a sort of reasonably monotonous one-stopper, unfortunately. But as ever with Formula One, you just never know. Right, it is a beautiful evening, by the way. The sun is setting fantastically over there. I've got to get ready for the day. Oh, Wilson. I have got to go and prepare myself and the dinner for tonight's date night. It's a home-cooked date night, and I'm in charge. So hopefully that'll go well. Maybe I'll let you know tomorrow. Beautiful. Date night is on. See you tomorrow.